massive, multi-billion-dollar infrastructure project, but it's another way of addressing the problem.
We have a question.
Stuart.
You hold it. Thank you. Just a question for the Professor, and I imagine for the forum here. Very good presentation, Professor. It was fantastic. A lot of information to obviously absorb, and I'll be looking at your presentation in more detail after this, of course, so we can't absorb it all now. However, I think we're on the right track here. I think it's quicker for the dam to be lowered 12 metres. We can pump more money into that desal plant to expand it. I think that's probably money much better spent than raising the wall of the dam. We can manage the flood mitigation of that dam a lot better by keeping the levels at that airspace of whatever it is, 39% or whatever it is of the dam, by keeping that flood mitigation. Have they thought about putting some infrastructure in as well? To take water out of the dam when it's at these record levels and pumping it to regional areas where they need it?
I get that email in my inbox every week, just about. That I might build a tunnel under the Blue Mountains and take the water out into... Right.
We've got one of the biggest economies in the world.
Yep.
So surely these sorts of things, this type of infrastructure could be looked at. We talk about these poor regional areas that they watch their dams dry up to nothing. We sit there with this great big monstrosity sitting here at 100%, staring down the barrel of another couple of floods.
Yeah.
I know we can't build a pipe and put a hose in it and suck water through it right now, but we should be looking at some of this other infrastructure as alternatives to mitigating the risk of this dam.
There's a few issues there, but one of them is we're talking about flow rates that peaked above 500 gigalitres per day. The world's biggest pump can't pump anywhere near 500 gigalitres per day, and you're looking at one of the world's biggest pipes to do it. In order to move that kind of water out at that rate, it's a massive infrastructure project. 500 gigalitres is the volume of Sydney Harbour in a day.
We just have a question down here. Is there a microphone?
How you going, mate?
I'll just come to you in a moment, Fiona. We've just got one here. Is there a microphone?
I don't really need a microphone. Thank you, Professor, for your presentation. Yeah, we can't hear you back here.
I do need a microphone. Thanks very much for your presentation today. Building a tunnel is of no interest to me. I live on the floodplain. I live here where the water comes up and it's frightening. I see the rest of the riverbank disappear when New South Wales government decides to release the water at the most inappropriate time. The only people that can be of any assistance today is not someone who wants to have a discussion about whether we should have a tunnel to pump the water. We need to talk to our politicians. I'm so grateful that we have Robin Preston here today. We can take this message back to the New South Wales government and tell them the pain, the difficulty, the atrocious situation that we as a community are in. I'd love to hear from Robin Preston how she feels about our pain, our angst, the cost to the whole community here, the mental cost, the financial cost. I would be thrilled if we could get some action where it's important and not talk about, pontificating about something which is unrealistic and which, in my opinion, is raising the dam wall, falls into that consideration. If Robin would be happy to give us some idea of how we can help her.
I'm not sure Robin's not.
That's the action plan.
Thank you, John. I think Robin, I think she says
I came to this and I'm happy to talk to you later about that. I'll stay back with you.
So I think Robin's happy to talk to anyone after this forum today. She's...
I wasn't invited to speak today. I haven't organised this, and I respect the fact that the Professor wanted to give his findings and talk to people. So I'm happy to stay back here if you want to talk to me later, but I don't want to take over this meeting. I don't know what the group says. You might invite the group and ask them what they feel generally, but I'm here if you want to talk to me.
I think if we open it up to politicians, then everybody's going to have a
I just want to hear what you've got to say, and that's why I came today. It's
Look,
not my meeting.
if people would like to hear Robin, if you've got any questions specifically for her, you would like in an open audience, I think that's fine. But we do have a couple of other community members up the back here who are also desperate to speak. So let's just go through a few of them first, and then maybe at the end, Robin would like to say a few words.
Thank you so much for your presentation. It was brilliant. I was coming a little bit late, so I might have missed this very big idea. But I just wanted to know, so you spoke about we can't do anything immediately, etc. And I don't understand all of that. You have to change legislation to order out the dam and lots of different things have to happen before you can do that. But why, if we know rain is coming, we have radar, we can predict it, we can predict floods. We have about a week or so, generally speaking, give or take, before a flood happens. We know the rain is coming. Why can't we release some water immediately, which will potentially prolong the time we have between predicting the flood and then having to get out of our houses?
That's what I hear other people suggesting too. I think that it's a matter of risk appetite, how much appetite there is to make the wrong decision and potentially go into a drought starting from a worse position. That's a lot to ask of a politician. It's a lot to ask of a premier. Who might look pretty silly if they were seen to have drained the Warragamba Dam and then ended up in a severe drought where everybody's on water restrictions. I'm not saying it can't be done physically. In practical terms, of course, you can open those radial gates and release that water. I just don't see it as being politically acceptable, or even from the agencies, from Water New South Wales and others that manage water. I don't see them being comfortable with the idea of releasing that water without immediately having a plan in place to replace that drinking water supply security.
That's what I just said, isn't it? It's a pretty common sense that the water's coming next week. If we're crossing the radar, people predict it.
Yeah.
It's going to come, right?
In retrospect, if you look back and you could say the water was coming next week, absolutely.
Have we got a microphone up the back? It's very hard to hear down the front here. If you could just pass it.
I think we'll just move. I think we need to move to the next question to try and let as many people ask questions. I've got one here lined up, but if people put their hands up, I'll come to you next.
Hi Stuart, thank you very much. My name is Christian Dibble. I just wanted to first clarify, sorry, we went through a lot of numbers then, so I just want to make sure I've got this right. The additional net present value costs of the desal by dropping the water levels by 12 metres is going to be about $1 billion and some change.
So that's how it was costed in 2019 based on the current strategy that we have for managing Sydney's drinking water. So it means turning on the desal plant, which wasn't on at that time, so bringing that forward, and then also, yes, bringing forward the construction of stage 2 of the Sydney desalination plant and various other components. But yeah, that's how it was costed. That's where that $1 billion comes from. It's replacing the drinking water supply security.
Thank you. Honestly, that seems like a total bargain. To be honest with you, against some other costs that we blow money on in the States. I think we're up to $800 million in the Sydney football stadium now. So, honestly, we need to throw that to the house on a stadium. We've just dropped $1 billion and destroy our water supply. And I didn't realise that we were so susceptible to drought. But there's a solution there for, honestly, a very small amount of money. I mean, God.
I share that opinion. So the situation that we have in Sydney is water prices are regulated, and the way that we do things would flow on into an impact on customers' water bills, and that will be a big part of the political decision making, is how much they think the community of Sydney as a whole is willing to absorb in increased water rates, and that's what it will come down to.
Do we have any more questions? We've got time for just a couple more before we are going to have to wrap up.
Thank you, Stuart. Great presentation. There's loads of information there to go through. But what I'm frustrated about is the fact that we just look at raising the wall or dropping the water. As many people have mentioned just now, there's loads of other options out there. And what I'm really frustrated about is the government enact possibility to look at solving these issues. I put a petition together to the government to look at solutions, not just about raising the wall. What I'm also really annoyed about is the fact that there's loads of people stressed about this, and even children, every time it rains, we've had enough, enough is enough, action needs to happen, and not in 10 years' time. There's loads of solutions, the government just needs to act sooner than later.